Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Pay and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Crypto. Thanks for joining us today. We have a special treat for you. We have Marius, which is CEO and founder of Danu Games. Thanks for joining us today, man. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me, Nathan. Thank you. And I'm happy to be here and introduce you guys to our wonderful MMORPG project.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I not only just personally interested in your project, I think what you guys are doing is fantastic with the lore and the atmosphere, the settings, and there's a lot of unique stuff even in the Web3 space that you guys are doing. So maybe just to kind of start us off and give everyone a little bit of background, what was really the vision of the game and the story behind Kingdoms of Avalon, and what got you guys to really create this as the MMORPG that it is?
Well, the team got together 2 years ago and we look at the opportunity of blockchain giving you an ownership of items in the game. We look at that and we say, why don't we create a MMORPG and then add a blockchain at the end of the story versus creating a blockchain game itself that it's not working. And one of our group leaders said, well, it's time also to educate people on alternate history that it's not told in the schools and it's hidden there in the books and series in History Channel these days. So we decided that we're gonna not only have a cool MMORPG, we're gonna give you the ownership of your items, so ownership of your characters, ownership of your homes and businesses, but also we're gonna make it fun and educational if you choose to learn more about Templar Knights and how they created Portugal, where they disappeared, where they came from, and their whole very well-known fight with Inquisition and the church back in the day. So that's a story behind the creation. We started looking at different chains back in the day based on Splinterlands that it's still around and are very successful. That's how we arrived at Wax Chain, and we started with Wax. Strong community, great marketplace, super fast chain, zero fees, zero issues on the back of the game. And then slowly, as we had the system better, we start implementing multiple different chains. And then we added Polygon, get a partnership with Polygon. Then we added Binance. And we also have our lend assets in Ethereum. So we are currently in 4 chains. All the players can play in the same servers. So it doesn't matter where you come from. You play with the same guys from all over the world.
Great.
Our system knows where you came from, and our system will reward you in particular to your chain directly to your wallet. So will we add more chains? Yes, we will. We're currently in negotiations with a couple major chains. But in general, this is this new thing, guys. It's called 2.5, not Web 2, not Web 3, Web 2.5, which is Web 2 game, but with blockchain opportunity of a back end of it, where you can take ownership of your items and sell them on multiple marketplaces. Our main target is Web 2 marketplaces. So we are currently in Epic Store. We are in cooperation with distributor for Nintendo. We are submitted to Xbox, and in series of years ahead, this is where we're heading for the large marketplace, but giving people the opportunity to build value through blockchain and make sure it's all recorded and it's in your hands. We don't own it, guys. We can't shut down the marketplace. You guys have it. All the marketplaces are all over the world. And this is where I think all the games are going to go in the next couple of years, to use blockchain as a tool for players and don't build games on the blockchain. Yes, we see how that worked. We see how that worked out in the last couple of years.
We did. We did. And I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like all the money is really in Web 2, really, for games. And I was, especially as a game guild over the past couple of years here, we've seen the strictly Web 3 focused games, but they're just not getting the player base and the daily active users. And I like the 2.5 that you're kind of saying. That's becoming a little bit more popular of a term, because I do think games that have crypto as a component, but not a necessity, are going to be the ones that kind of take off here much quicker in the near future, because you're tapping into both marketplaces potentially.
Yes.
So was that something that you guys evolved into and kind of figured out as you went and has been more of a recent discovery over the last year or so, or was that part of kind of the original vision?
That wasn't the original vision.
Okay.
So that is the part of the original vision. It is in our light paper since the day one, when we published the light paper and our roadmap, that we are going to all the large marketplaces, including we have a really good partner in Taiwan that created a streamable version of Avalon. So you're going to be able to play it on your iPhone, on your iPad, or any mobile device, but not downloadable, just streamable. We want to be at as many devices as possible in the future, but follow up with the technology. So we started with the blockchain. The market was completely different, guys, 2 years ago, and everybody knows that. The projects, we were just all trailblazers. The guys behind us were just learning as they were going, ahead of us. And I think we all learn in a year as we go. Another year is a change to the market. Another year is a change. But all the really big projects out there, if you listen to the CEOs, not to the speeches from 2 years ago, but the recent ones, they will all tell you that the only way for blockchain to be anywhere is to be in the Web2 space, just as an option for the players. I do think my vision is that in 10 years, there's not going to be a game that doesn't use blockchain. Because why players will play the games when they cannot have ownership of their time and the items, right? Just my opinion. There's always going to be a blockchain in the games. We just will not see it, will not know maybe about it. It's just going to be there for us to sell what we created in a game or exchange it with someone. This has been done before in many, many games. It's nothing new. However, players never really have the true ownership. And transactions and all that stuff, there are already systems for that in many different game providers. So blockchain, I think, super important, in my opinion, when it comes to safety and ownership, and also availability for you as a player to take your item that you created, or you raise your little dragon or whatever the item is, and be in 6 or 7 different large blockchain marketplaces and have outreach to buyers with serious funds. So that's something that I think will help in the future. We will have both marketplaces, so fiat marketplace and an NFT one, but the NFT one won't involve crypto. However, it will give you your NFT in a blockchain that you choose to. You can withdraw it from the game and then choose any chain you want and just list it out. That's the vision behind how we're going to use the blockchain. Probably a year from now, when we talk, I will add something to it as the technology is changing and updating constantly. Heck, we just changed the whole game from when we started. It was Unreal 4.27, and our alpha was 4.27, and now it's 5.2 as of yesterday. So the game looks better. The game gets only better and better and better because we're trying to keep up with the technology. Technology is changing, and MMORPGs take between 5 to 8 years to be built. If somebody tells you something different, no. Just go and go on all the Top Good Dogs and see how many years it took the team to build from the scratch to. It's usually 5 to 8, depending what we do. And never what you see in alpha is what the final game is, but it's always the beginning. So I'm just, what's next?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that I'm curious to talk a bit more about the land ownership, because I know there's the 4 types. You've got the castle, the town, the village, and the harbor. Would you mind kind of explaining how that works and maybe talk about some of the tax, I guess, where owners can generate revenue and
we're getting to the really boring stuff. All right,
this is exciting for me as a game guild, because this is the kind of stuff I want to know.
So from my experience in commercial real estate that I have and many things that I built over the last 15 years here in States, I spent some time with city departments and the State Department even, getting a bunch of permits, and I spent some time chatting with their finance guys. So I'm trying to apply a real life city-run economy into our villages and towns as it's working behind your window in your cities. So I'm not trying to recreate, the wheel here. I'm just applying what I know. Here's what we have. We have villages, we have harbors, we will have towns, and we will have castles. Currently in the game, we have villages and harbors. We're in alpha. you can have as little item as your little hut for $250, I believe now. And that will give you your storage, your little piece of land. You don't need to buy land separately to your building. It comes with it, just like you will buy it in the real world. If it's built in the ground, it's with the land. So you get the piece of land in a village, preferably next to your friends in a guild. And that's how it worked out for us. We did a little differently, guys. We established the actual cities, villages, and then we let the guilds to roam around and see how they like them and choose their homes. Just a little bit like in real life, when you will go and drive to this new neighborhood that just got built, and you choose if you want this corner or this corner, or is your buddy Jason lives here or your friend Jessica lives there. You want to be around them. It worked out great with guilds because people know each other. They want to be next to each other. They want to create economy and support it. Huge hit, I will say, on sales. Awesome. Guilds took over businesses, in-game businesses, which we have starting from the cheapest one, our mill that process your resources that you bring and bakes bread for you in different items. So these guilds took them right away, and now you have 6-7 owners to one. The guild supports it because the mills generate in-game tokens, which is a business for guild or the individual in-game. I will say what guilds are doing, the smart ones that we have, it's a very good system, because then you have 6 or 7 owners of one object. However, they support it. So the amount of customers coming is way, way higher than what you will have to the single unit. So just, it's not complicated, guys. It's very easy. You split the freaking unit and then you feed it. It's easy. Then we have forges, single owner in that case. The only item in the whole game that has scholarship accounts, 8 scholarship accounts per forge. These scholars are your workers that provide resources to your forge in order for you to create weapons. All the forges in a first alpha map sold out. They all have owners. Forges do very well from what I'm noticing, depending if you have a foot traffic, obviously. A lot of games out there sold a lot of assets that they're coming into the games similar quality, right? However, nobody deployed the system and tested. We deployed it for 4 months for community. We tested. Everybody likes the system. There's tweaks. It's not perfect. We have to do some adjustments, but the business owners are in a constant communication with us. We are adjusting flow of the businesses and items and what weapons they can manufacture. We actually go in with it versus just saying, oh, we have it, we're going to dump it on you and it's going to be all perfect. No, we're building it with the business owners. And I think this is how you build healthy economy. So these are the forges. Then we go to stables. Breeding horses, creating horses and selling them to players. However, you as a player, you have to first go and buy yourself resources for your horse, which is, for example, your saddle and your rings and your food for horse, which means we support now the mill and we support also the forge, as these items have to be created before you buy a horse. So it's an ecosystem that actually makes sense. Additional thing, taxation, you were asking about that. If there is an owner of the temple, it's a temple building, big church in the village at this stage. There 2 or 3 are sold too. They're charging about 4% taxes from every business within their location. So mill pays 4%, stable. Anybody that makes any business in town, it gets redirected to, back in the day, it was church. It was the abbot that was, you were coming to the church and paying taxes, and that was going to the king, right? So this is kind of similar. The church collects the taxes. You as the owner of the church, a temple, that's what you do. Additionally, the temple owners have a store on the back of it. In alpha was not there, but in beta it's going to be. It's temporarily set up there right now. In this store, it can be if it's owned by the guild, it can be a guild central storage. So all the players from guild can support it and bring resources, and then guild can ship these resources on the ships and anywhere else, or mint things for them. But the temple comes with a store. So you are the main merchant for any resources within the game aside of weapons. these are licensed to forge owners, right? So the forge owners just do weapons and armor, and in the temple you can sell basically anything else. So that's
Great.
one thing. Also, temple owners, we were super nice to them because they support our economy. We say the first 6 temples that we're going to sell will receive drops of 1 building every month for 24 months.
Wow.
What that means, it will let you grow your community or your guild within that town double. And so random buildings are dropping. They're not businesses, just basically are homes or farms. So a hut, a small home, a medium home, a large home, and a farm are the buildings that we have. And they all have different functions and size of storage. For example, the storage goes by 30 items. So every larger piece of home you're going to get, your storage is going to be 30 items larger. So you go from 30 to 150, I believe. And additional thing, large homes generate ammunition, so bolts and arrows. You never need to make bows and arrows. How amazing is that? You come to your house, you pick them up, or you upgrade your house to level 5, and they automatically reload in your inventory. You have ammo every time. Every time you log into the game, there's ammunition for your bow waiting. No minting. That's for large homes, right? Farms, food resources, right? So depending what type of farm you have and what kind of animals you decided to have, the same thing. You can, we have animals that create babies, for example. We have animals that lay eggs. They have cool animations, all that stuff. And then you get this to the inventory. Now it's up to you if you take it in on an adventure and you eat it, or you put it to the store so the rest of the players in the game can buy it, just like the farmer will do in a real life. No difference. So classes for every building has a classes, and it's reflected in its price. Did I miss something? It's just huge. The economy is a huge subject that we do like separate titles on. We have harbors. We have ships that are going to be player owned. We have harbors that are player owned. We have separate forges of larger magnitude in a harbors. There's one already with the owner. They create also a ship armor and different things for your ships in that particular forge. It's more advanced, right? So you can. The goal of these buildings in the game, guys, is to start at the bottom. Just like you will start with your little, like Walmart started with the little stores, and then you get bigger, 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 bigger because you use these in-game tokens and resources to upgrade it, and that gives you better things to sell to the players, right? It makes your building nicer. And then you go in 1 to 5. Either you keep that the way it is, or you sell it on the marketplace and get yourself one in a harbor. We did that for anybody and everybody that wants to learn how to run the actual business. It's not that much different than it's in life. It's still a game, but we'll teach you, I'm sure, the resource allocation and how much you really want to withdraw, what's your competition doing and stuff. We have smart owners. I can tell you that the gamers are between 35 and 60 in a game. Everybody played MMORPGs in their life. They have their lives, but they want to be 2 hours with their friends and just run stuff. We've noticed businesses are mostly picked up by guilds and run by multiple guys in the guilds. It works perfect. Doesn't require a lot of time, and there's a couple of you responsible, and you have a great time. So I think I said everything about what we have in a game. I'm not going to say about what's coming, just what's right now. Hint, all these businesses are currently in the game. They're not promises. They're all operational currently within the game and tested by 250 players already. So that's something that it's in there working. So I want that everybody to remember.
That's awesome. Well, I also like just how it feels like it's really promoting that guild community aspect, not just because of the economy, but I kind of like what you said too. Things were tested. You didn't just drop it on people and say, here's a new feature, here's a new thing. Like this is stuff that's actually working in the game now. And that's what gets me really excited from a game guild's perspective, because a lot of projects right now, nothing against them per se, but it's 90% promise, 10% actuality, right? And most of the game is actually built on, and even some of the speculative value of the NFTs and the tokens is on all that promise. So there's a lot of waiting game when it comes to a lot of these games. And absolutely, technology is evolving. Games and projects need to stay up to speed with it. But I really like how you guys have this working today. you know, and that I think puts you
Right.
ahead of a lot of other projects just for that simple reason.
It's
So just
it's working, Nathan. It's working.
right.
However, just to backtrack one step, it's still alpha version. So
Hmm.
it's working test in progress, which
Yes.
means it generates and it works as an economy, but we are actively talking to all the business owners and players to listen to them,
Hmm.
right? Where the things are a little bit too favorable for particular business, to just balance it. And all these people have, guys, 30 years experience in playing MMORPGs, some of them. So there's a lot of, Final Fantasy came in 1987, just if somebody wants to
Yep.
challenge my dates. So they bring a lot of knowledge, and a lot of companies basically puts it out there, gets a bunch of players, and then players leave because the actual thing needs adjustments. We try
Yep.
to do it in alpha, beta, and the follow-up to beta with players that are interested in being a part of building a project, right? So, of course, players don't run how the project is created. We do, but we take input out of the actual gameplay of experienced people to create a better gameplay for the next generation.
Awesome.
So that's kind of how I approached it. I let you help us, and I never say we know everything.
Hmm.
We know a lot, but we need your knowledge to see how it works inside. So this is where we are.
Very
With this.
community driven. That's great. Yeah, so this brings me to the next point. I want to talk about the world's first STKC because I thought this was really genius when I first learned about it, where they talk about the stakeable chest, you know, and how individuals and groups can promote it. Can you just explain a little bit where that idea came from and kind of where you guys are at with it right now?
Oh, the idea came from individuals from England that are actually sponsoring our Templar storyline.
Okay.
We start talking about it, and they say, "Why don't we sponsor some of your chests in some of the raids in the future?" It lets certain individuals, companies, games, crypto exchanges, or whatever that is, to sponsor a raid, even to choose who can participate the raid and then sponsor it, or
Okay.
people can perform a task in order to get to the sponsor raid. So you will go with a group of players,
Mhm.
and you kill all the little bugs, you kill the medium bug, and then you kill the big bug, right? Call them the bosses. Bugs are bosses, guys, just so you know. So you kill the big orcs, and then the chest opens up for you, and the chest is going to be sponsored. It can be sponsored by your guild or any other of these companies that I mentioned, or just individual. What's going to do is going to display the name of them, right? And say, hey, this is the sponsor that sponsored this raid for you guys. And algorithm calculates who did the most. It's not based on damage. It's an algorithm that looks at different things you do during the raid and creates, I call it like a threat number. So you are the most danger, you created the most danger to the boss, was with healing or supporting or killing the healers that did to him or whatever. You can be level 200 or you can be 50, and the 50 is still going to win it. It's depending on the activity in the raid. However, the reward is distributed between the players. Number one gets the most, and then the remaining players get less and less and less. It's 6 players. This is explained in our light paper a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What we were trying to do is not only create us rewarding with NFTs or in-game token, but allowed other people to just create like a tournament style chest. And did we test it currently with a large amounts of money? No, we didn't. We didn't push it yet. We tested with NFTs and in-game tokens.
Okay.
We're waiting for beta to move it forward. The system is working, which whatever I put in there, it's going to be distributed. We have the whole sponsor page is not blocking you or slowing down your gameplay. It's just on the bottom of the screen. It's visible. We have the same thing in advertising in game, and I had discussion with someone. Oh, is this going to be really annoying for players? Absolutely not. You always have loading screens between servers. There's nothing you can do with it, and these loading screens can be used for sponsors, guilds, or other companies to put their QR code that you can scan or drops for you right there, because the server is loading anyway. It's usually 10-15 seconds time of loading server for every game in the world, and you guys know it. The only thing you see is the spinning wheel, because many companies very slowly are going into using that time to present you with a product, and it's never going to be annoying to you as players. Never, I promise, never. I'm a player. I hate anything that takes me from. But every time you see something, you will gain valuable information. It's always going to be game related, or it's going to be industry related. And all this, the only thing that it does, it supports the game development. So keep that in mind, that every time you see it, this whichever money or the donations they do or creating assets for us they do, this all supports the ecosystem. So I don't think players are going to be mad about it. I think they're going to be happy. And
I do too. I think in Web3, just in general, having the advertising opportunities in a game, players understand more why than traditional Web2, because those advertising dollars makes the game better. They understand that that's part of it. And I think you brought up a really good point there about it not being too intrusive, right?
It's not at all.
Yeah, and that sounds like
no pop-ups
to use during the loading screen anyways.
Yes.
And me as a player would be excited to see that you guys as a game company are using that valuable time to help promote your project and add revenue. And because in Web3, the more successful the project that you're involved in, the more successful you feel as the player. So there's kind of this more intertwined connection on understanding that advertising opportunities are important and being able to use them in a way that it's not like pop-ups interrupting your gameplay experience is really key. That's exciting to hear. I think that's something that we'd be interested in doing as well as Blue Ocean Games Guild, is maybe sponsoring some raid chests, even using it to recruit other players. I think
absolutely, yeah.
Set up
and you know what? That we tested, just so you know.
Okay.
That we tested. It's already there. It's in the loading screen. Not a single complaint ever came in.
Awesome.
I just want to enforce it to everybody that ever listens to this interview.
Mm-hmm.
No pop-ups, no banners in the game, nothing like that ever, never, ever. Just when you are changing world to world, when there is a usually useless screen with a spinning wheel, we will use it to show you game or blockchain related advertising, right? Just straight with it. That's how we're going to use that 15 seconds, where you sometimes go to the restroom, but sometimes you sit there and you go on your phone. That will let you get on sales. That will get you let on some information. That will give you discounts to purchase consoles. Maybe we have these things that we're working right now. And most of it is going to be done based on QR code. People have this problem with writing down things, and there's too much information. Nobody wants to read it. The QRs, we've noticed, they're pretty easy. Everybody has their phone. The phone can scan it from the TV, guys, these days. Or your monitor. You get this information, goes on your phone, you go back to the game. If you want to come back, you come back to the site. I think it's going to be a good tool. And we tried that, by the way, guys, with QR codes on all the big conventions, for gaming conventions. QR code is nothing new, but it's definitely the most efficient and the fastest way of people sharing information, websites, companies, details between each other when they meet, and they all have 60 seconds to just explain. And do you have a business card? Business cards get lost. These don't. So just example how we want to do it.
Great point. I feel like it'd be easy to talk to you for hours about this, Marius. It's such a exciting project that you guys have going on here. There's two last things I kind of want to squeeze in before we hit time. I want to talk about the transition to Unreal 5 and just kind of how that went, because that was obviously a big move for you guys, but really exciting probably for the community and the player base, just for the improvement. I mean, it's easier for lower end systems to run. We know that too. And then generally the quality tends to look a little bit better. How did you find that as a development company making that transition? Was it something that was hard fought, or was the process relatively smooth? Like, what was it like from your guys' perspective?
When we started developing this game, there was no Unreal 5. We started developing game on Unreal 4.27, which was the best thing over 2 years ago. We've put a lot of money and time in at least Unreal 4.27, and then Unreal 5 came out 1.1 with nanite and new lighting system and faster for FPS and new animation systems. It was kind of a big decision, I have to say. When you're in the middle of production, to change it, it requires money and time. Some of the things we need to pay double, but we managed. And players could already see me on different presentations. I was showing how the 5 is working. But guess what? Now 5.2 came out, and now we need to update 5.1 to 2. So it's 5.2, so which is better, but it's not that much work. I
Okay.
think it's not all that bad. It required quite a bit of time and will require time. We give the whole process 6 months,
Okay.
and we think, and we are quite positive that in December, our beta, it will be fully launched on 5.2. However, beta might be a little bit narrowed compared to the alpha when it comes to content because the whole engine changed. So it will be better quality, tiny bit less content, kind of my opinion. I love the system though, guys. That's if they're going to come up with 6, we have to go to 6. I mean, there's no discussion, right? Whichever Unreal is going to go, the game is going to go with it. We have to give you the best. And it's not giving you the best, it also helps us. Their systems get better and better and better. It's easier for us to use, saves us money on production, gives you a better product. Unreal is an incredible company. And I'm stunned that games are not built in Unreal, like most of them. So
yeah, it's interesting to see this jump from Unity, basically from like Web3 into Unreal, you know, and kind of bringing in that new era of AAA high quality Web3 games. I mean, we all kind of knew it had to happen years ago with clicker games, and you know, Unity's great, but there's so many limitations with it, obviously. So it's exciting.
Unity is great for mobile devices in general. That's
Yes.
there is no discussion about that. So I'm cheering for all the games that build. I spoke to Unity. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great. They're just different purpose.
Exactly.
We are different. We are for the people that have good computers, great consoles. For those of you guys that have their gaming studio in a big chair home, and then we will have some mobile streaming if you ever want to play on a plane, and we will have a mobile app that will let you control your businesses in games. So that's just the state of things, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, next thing I want to ask is, I know you talked about the beta, you know, being aimed for December, but what are some kind of key milestones on your roadmap that you're looking forward to getting to here in the next or near future that you're willing to share with us today?
Ahead of the future, there's so many of them. In the short term, definitely full transition from Unreal 4 to sorry, Unreal 5. That's completed about 70% of the stage.
Okay.
Fully listing on Epic Store. We are halfway through that, with parts of our game being improved and parts of them we're still waiting for approval. But that's one thing. Then we're going to be going for every single possible Web 2 marketplace that exists. And why? Because all of them are now using some other marketplaces blueprints for regulations for blockchain. That's very important, regulations. They will decline you guys straight. Now they have regulations they created and they're good. So they're using these regulations that one company created, they rewrite them and they put them in there. So everybody will allow you to be there if you don't play too much with tokens listed on marketplaces. So that's something that you need to be careful when it comes to tokens. So we're going to go very strong for Web2 space. Now, some of the directions are in our light paper. Epic Store, Xbox Live, talking to them. Sony, definitely, no question. And Nintendo Switch, right? So the farthest we are right now is Epic and Nintendo Switch, because we actually did process there. And then we're going to add whatever we can to make this game valuable to wider audience, right? Therefore, we created special levels that actually are very cool to play on the Switch, right? If players don't want to play the main map, they have separate maps that are really good, streamable to smaller devices. And you still participate in the game and you level up your character, but you don't need to be on the giant heavy maps. So we're trying to be smart about it. So that's one of the things. We are fully implemented with Xbox controllers, so you guys can play with remote or just the controllers. We've done that. One of the big things that we're working on when it comes to gameplay to make all the characters modular. This is a big task for us, as characters are NFTs, and the more you change it, the less unique you look, really. We need to have a special types of characters, so we're working on the creation of more and more NFT characters in game. When they're this quality that you see, is not all 5-second job with AI. That's not possible. Storylines, actors, more hiring. That's what we're gonna do. More partnerships and adding a solid partners that are going behind PR. So somebody that understands the product, want to be with us and support us over the upcoming years. Someone that understands the vision, right? We've mentioned we give VR interiors.
Yeah.
The reply of community is we don't really have VR devices. We barely use them. Surprisingly, the whole VR thing is not catching up in this style of games yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So we will have some VR, but it's going to be very limited to some of the business owners, per se. So this is like one of these main goals, just reaching out to the Web2 space, getting on some launch pads, have some, I'm talking like Web2 launch pads, more and more just promoting, hey, we exist, this is where we are, come join us. And hey, there's something for blockchain and we use it for ownership. I personally don't think there's enough players in blockchain. And if someone wants to challenge, I'm ready to be here with you and challenge that thought. And I don't believe in the numbers posted by the games, and please do not believe them. I don't think blockchain large-scale games can be successful without being in the Web2 space. It's not possible. And all of them currently are starting to slowly list on Epic. And why people say Epic. Come on. There's millions and millions and millions and millions of players in Epic. Yeah. And Epic was like the first company that actually went through blockchain regulations and created the whole blueprint for what the company in blockchain gaming should do in order to partner up with them. Thank you, whoever worked on that. It's well put together. And Web2 players will stop looking down at Web3 players. Right now, we call them gamers anyway, but they're really gamers for crypto and they're gamers for the regular world. And so far, they're laughing at the gamers in the crypto world. That's all going to end. The more and more blockchain-related games are going to come, they're going to be very familiar with it. So that's the future. I don't want to get it off what's in the closest future. Integration with 5.2, releasing in December if everything goes good, beta, right? And then beta will run for a little bit. And then we will have another chapter that we will release, right? And we will try to give people over the years that we build this project about, if everything goes correctly, about 6 to 8 months, a version of the game that you can jump in and play for a month and see what's happening. And do you think we do what we're supposed to do? It worked so far, first time, when we promised that we're going to deliver within about 8 to 9 months, which we did. And then our promise is now again in 7 months from the first one that we will deliver. And I just wanted to say to everybody that's going to come from the guilds and all the guys that watched this, we're normal. We don't try to raise $170 million in NFTs and then promise you something and don't deliver crap for 5 years. We are more of, we get what we get and we go with it and we deliver to you. And if you trust us, you help us and we move forward. We own 100% of our company. We don't have venture capital sitting on top of us and trying to sell us and tell us what to do with the game.
That's huge.
I honestly think their player money is larger than venture capital money. If you get the players correctly to support you and they like your vision in MMORPG, you will make a really good game as long as the model is working. And we will try our best to have our company support, some of the sponsors support, and the players support with the items that are coming by being responsible and provide players with entertainment. Just not take the money, don't do anything, provide crap and say, I'm sorry. No. So at least we get you something to play. And you can talk to the community, come on a Discord. All the people bought stuff in a game, all they get to play, they have blast for 3 months. And now they're crying and missing it. But obviously, alpha has limited content, guys. So MMORPG takes years to build content. It's huge, and it never ends. And the final thing, our company decided to put resources in MMORPG because we believe, despite MMORPGs being a little bit on decline, some of them, we believe that now when they get the fresh blood of blockchain and upgraded technology, MMORPGs are the projects that are very stable for a decade or more, and you can see it in all the MMORPGs around the world. At least top 20, go look through them. Communities go and go, they fluctuate, but the projects stay, versus any other game that's around for 2, 3, 4 years dead, and you need to be new one. We can provide constant content for you. We will go with the storylines. We're building another game. We will teach you about the Inquisition and older story. We will teach you about Templars and older story, and we go far with it. in medieval times. There's a lot of things that's going to come to you when you guys going to integrate with these characters. Maybe you're going to be the druid that you love to kill. Maybe you're going to be the dark side of the game, which is the Inquisition. Maybe you're going to be the light side, which is the Templars. Guys, we have dragons. You can grow them, feed them. If you have the right skills, you can mount them. You can fly in the sky. You can battle your bodies in the sky with dragons in multiplayer.
That's amazing.
And I mean, who on earth has that aside of giant products, right? So it's basic. It's not amazing yet, but it does the fun for you. And you can die in 10,000 feet in the sky and fell off your dragon and fell on the ground next to guys cooking meat on the fireplace. So we had that. People like, what is this body doing here? Fell from the sky because somebody was fighting on the dragons. So it's really hilarious. People play for 6 hours. In alpha, people played 6 hours a day alpha.
Wow.
So it's I think we did fun game, and that was the purpose. Just don't promise too much and then make the project boring. We work, guys, we have a lot of work. So I just want to say that a lot of work. Sound, graphics, new characters. There's always going to be upgrades, so don't judge us harshly. We just started. This is the very first chapter. Expect more, but be fair. So that's kind of my opinion.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Marius. I'm personally, and I know the guild is just super excited about what you guys are doing. I feel like we meet with a lot of projects. You know, we have a research team that dives into a lot of projects. You guys just check the list for me and the guild in a lot of different ways. So you can definitely expect us to become more active in your community, be part of this journey. And I'm really excited to see where everything goes, and especially for the beta coming up here, you know, within the next 7 months or maybe a little bit longer, so that I can start getting our guild members in there so that we can have some dragon battles in the air and also figure out the economy and buy some of the lands and maybe get involved with owning a temple. And, you know, I've been waiting for an MMORPG in blockchain like this for a while. When I say waiting, I just mean that getting a game to a point where we can really invest our time as a guild and build that community and have something that's going to last for years to come. So thanks so much for joining us today and introducing everyone in the community to this. If you haven't already, definitely check these guys out. We'll be sure to have their website, their light paper, and their Discord and socials all down in the description. I highly recommend you get involved in what they have going on here, because this is a fantastic project. So yeah, I really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And anyone who hasn't already subscribed to the channel, please do. It really helps us out. And of course, hit that bell notification to stay up to date with all the great play to earn content we have coming out for you guys on a consistent basis. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers, everyone.